is going on with Bitcoin? I mean, seriously, we were supposed to go up to 100K. We didn't reach it last year. Let's dive into some charts. Let's talk about what my opinion is. Today's going to be more of a lengthy video, so make sure you grab your popcorn, make sure you take a seat, and let's dive into a whole bunch of various metrics and data where I talk about what is actually going on with Bitcoin, what is the future outlook, what is my opinion for this year, and more further information. Again, before we dive into this video, make sure you smash the thumbs up button. I appreciate you becoming a part of the Brotherhood, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment down below. And if you want to cop some Brotherhood Finance merch, check us out at brotherhoodfinance.com. Furthermore, much love. Let's dive into this charts. Let's dive into this slideshow presentation I put together. Let's do it. All right, brothers, so let's look at this first PowerPoint right now. Okay, so obviously the U.S. Congress will hold a hearing on the energy use and environmental impact of Bitcoin mining on January 20th. So that is also very imperative. That's coming up. Right now it's January 16th, so that is just around the corner. So that's something to keep in mind. Now this could move the markets forward. Again, right now Bitcoin is trading around 43,500. That could be very positive based on the impact and improvements that Bitcoin mining has made over the coming years, or it could be very bad based on how that meeting goes. So it's something to keep in mind. If you look right here, obviously we've gone over the Fear and Greed Index. Now the Fear and Greed Index is exactly what it sounds like. When people are greedy, you want to be fearful. Warren Buffett. And when people are fearful, that's when you want to be greedy. You want to accumulate. So if you look right here, every time we've had these consolidation periods, and we've been very fearful, eventually we've bounced back up and we've gotten to that green point. That's typically where you want to sell. Here we were over in this area right recently, and that's, that's still kind of a decently greedy, not really greedy area. And then now we're in that fearful area. Right now we've been hovering around the 20, 25. So if you look right here, Fear and Greed Index is at about 21, which is extreme fear. Yesterday, extreme fear. And last month, extreme fear. So we've been consolidating. We've had a lot of fear in the markets, especially in the equities markets. So that's something to keep in mind also. But I have been accumulating personally. Again, this is not financial advice. This is financial education. So when I dive into this stuff, it's not me telling you to buy. This is just me telling you what I'm personally doing as an investor at Brotherhood Finance. All right, so this is the real Fear and Greed Index. Now, pretty much what he's showing here is he's showing that if you look right here, around the 40K mark, we're at the same point of fear where we were at a bottom around the 30 to 40 mark. So that's even more bullish that the fear is very high, but we're actually $10,000 to $20,000 higher, more Bitcoin. Next thing is Bitcoin July 2021 wick-off accumulation compared to Bitcoin December 2021 wick-off accumulation. So Bitcoin update, comparing the previous July 2021 wick-off accumulation to this one, everything is looking very similar. What are your thoughts of bullish BTC? Now again, I'm still very bullish. There's a lot of accumulating that's been going on. And when I say accumulating, I mean whales, large institutions, and retail investors are buying Bitcoin, holding on to it, and accumulating it at a lower price. Again, the smart money buys when it's down. Dumb money buys at the top. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, this is very interesting. I was doing some research. I was digging into some content for this video. Walmart is quietly preparing to enter the metaverse. Walmart appears to be venturing into the metaverse with plans to create its own cryptocurrency and collection of NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Again, those are built on the Ethereum blockchain. If you have not checked out our Ethereum video, make sure to check that out. I talk about how Ethereum could actually potentially hit $15,000 per coin. Now, one of the reasons that is because, again, we have Ethereum 2.0 coming out here soon. And that's going to be the equivalent of about 3 to 4 halvings. Again, we just had a halving, which is why Bitcoin's been doing very well. And that cuts the supply in half. Ethereum is about to have the equivalent of 4 of those halvings. So that's very, very bullish. And not to mention, as I addressed in other videos, there's supposed to be, don't mark my words on it, but there's supposed to be a spot ETF coming out for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that is also very bullish news. Now let's get back to the metaverse. That was kind of off topic, just some additional insight information. Is the big box retailer filled several new trademarks last month that indicates its intent to make and sell virtual goods. In a separate filing, the company said it would offer users a virtual currency as well as a non-fungible tokens or NFTs. That's very interesting. I mean, something you can't argue is that this industry is not going to be disturbed or disrupted. It can't be stopped. At this point, cryptocurrency is the future. You're going to have to accept it at one point or another. Whether you want to try to time the market or be in there for the long run, only thing I have to say is in the next 10 to 20 years, this is going to be like investing in Google, Facebook, Amazon, or any of those other tech companies. For example, Mark Cuban actually says that, the Shark Tank investor, or, he's on that show, 80% of his investments recently have been on smart contract platforms and in cryptocurrency. So, I like to, again, as I mentioned in prior videos, I like to follow the smart money, what the whales are doing and what they're doing with their money, because retail is very different. You have to be a very smart investor to understand that the best time to actually buy is during these dips. And again, we're also in a very hyperinflated economy with CPI being at 7%. Next slide. Bitcoin buying the death cross hand over fist. So again, if you don't know what the death cross is, it pretty much means if we don't reach over a certain point or mark or resistance line, we could be heading down to a bottom. Now, I actually think this is pretty bullish because there's also been a multitude of times actually last year we formed a death cross when we were around 32,000 to 40,000. And the last time we had one of these little bear markets, short bear markets. It's not really a bear market. We're still in a bull market, but we're in that consolidation period where there's a lot of accumulation before we have this huge rally up, most likely past 100,000 in my opinion, if that ETF does become released. If not, I don't think we'll go over 100,000. I think we'll probably go around 75,000 tops. But if that ETF does come out, which I think it will, because they already approved the future, so why would they not approve the spot? And that would directly affect the price of Bitcoin. But last time this death cross actually happened, we actually had a reversal, and we had a pretty good hyperbolic run upward. All right, brothers, so the next slide I want to talk about right here is, look at this. This was something I mentioned, I think, before in another video, but Bitcoin has been trading like a tech stock. So that's very interesting, something to keep in mind. Every time the NASDAQ has actually had a little bit of a correction, and Bitcoin has actually had a correction. Now, not every single day, but it's something to keep in mind. Again, equities and what else is going on in the economy and the world is something to keep in mind. And there's been some corrections in the stock market, so that's also made more of a speculative asset with a higher return on investment like Bitcoin. Have a little bit of fear, as we mentioned just prior at 21, extreme fearful levels. Next one. Bitcoin cycle is far from over, and miners are in it for the long run, Fidelity reports. In a jump-packed report on digital assets, Fidelity Asset Manager theorizes that miner movements indicate the Bitcoin cycle has a lot more room to run. Again, we mentioned these cycles have continuously been extending and prolonging, and I don't think this cycle is over with at all either. So I agree with Fidelity 100%. So if you look right here, this is also what they talked about. Now, if you remember, we had that problem in China where people were worried, China could have power. And actually what happened was they kicked out all those miners, which was some of the slides I showed before is the miners are still holding and accumulating. So that's very bullish. But if you look right here, we also note that when they got removed, when they banned the miners, an operational risk to Bitcoin that previously considered a real threat, the potential for a nation-state attack on the network, because as much as 75% of the network's computing power was previously located in China, there was, in our opinion, a credible threat to China, taking control of a majority of its power and therefore the potential to gain over 50% of the network's power. However, it is clear that it is not China's intention, and the fact that so many mining rigs have been removed out of the country adds to the credibility that this will likely not happen in the future. Bitcoin's hash power has been more widely distributed around the world, making it even more secure and hardened against such nation-state attacks or national. So, again, very bullish. Not a whole majority of the miners in China. I've heard some arguments that people have said, well, it's risky, the miners are in China. Now, again, if you don't know what mining is, it's pretty much they're working on the blockchain and they're solving the problem. So, for example, if I was to send Bitcoin to you, they're going to confirm that transaction, confirm that, and in reward, they reward a small fraction of a Bitcoin, which is considered a Satoshi. And that uses a tiny bit of computing power. And as mentioned before, there's actually going to be a meeting about that on the 20th of January 2022 to see how much improvements were made. So next thing right here, for 11 years, my response to the critics is always the same. People always say Bitcoin's going to $0. It has no future. But again, like I mentioned before, Walmart's getting NFTs. You have Crypto.com getting into the stadium of the Lakers, I think it was, I believe. So there's just mass adoption occurring right now. And a lot of the metrics are showing that this bull run is not over, especially with the inflation and what's going on. Now, again, the Fed does want to raise rates, which could actually hurt the equities market a little bit. I don't think it will be too substantial because they can only raise rates to a certain point. Again, there will probably be 3 or 4 rate hikes, but with inflation the way it is, CPI, all these metrics, with Bitcoin as a store of value and inflation hedge, I don't think this bull runs over personally. So again, I've been accumulating heavily at the $40,000 level. Now, if we drop below 40,000 levels, then I will definitely be worried, because that's kind of the line in the sand. If we drop below that, a lot of the charts and analytics show that we're going to enter a bear market. So that's just a side note. Rio de Janeiro, if I say that right, mayor plans to invest 1% of the city's treasury into Bitcoin. Interesting. Now, as I mentioned before, total hash rate, that has to do with Bitcoin. I talked about previously how the China miners, now this is showing the miners right now. What are they doing? Are they mining a lot? As we can see, we're at the higher levels right here. This was when China had banned all the miners and people thought the network was going to crash. It did not. It held strong, and actually it got even higher. So we're at an all-time high total hash rate, very bullish. The miners are holding on because, again, they know this bull run's not over, and they're waiting to accumulate and sell out once we reach that top. We're having this double bottom right now, and I think in another month or so, we're going to see, some more pumps upward. Now, I'm not sure when we're going to have that all-time high, but it's definitely going to depend on, do we have ETH 2.0 come out? Do we have these Bitcoin ETFs get approved? Where's the equity markets? What's going on? Is inflation still high? So there's a lot of metrics, a lot of uncertainty in the market, but if you formulate your own opinion and you get all the education, you can make your decision based on, all this analytics and data. 70% of U.S. crypto holders started investing in 2021. Now, again, I don't know if I've showed a chart on this before, but if you actually look at the growth of cryptocurrency as a whole, it's actually growing at a faster rate than the internet, which is very fascinating to me. So it's growing at about, I want to say 1.5 times the rate of the internet. So we are growing at unconsiderable numbers, like ridiculous numbers we are growing at. So again, this is the future. This is something to keep in mind for the financial freedom that your family wants to accomplish, whatever your goals may be. That's, crazy analytics. 70%, that's a lot of new investors in 2021. Obviously, there's a lot of adoption and people getting involved in this space. Look at this. $1 is currently worth 2,334 sats. So again, Satoshis is sats. So you look 10 years ago, look at this change. I mean, it's just ridiculous. 10 years ago, $1 used to be worth that many sats. Now it's only worth 2,000 sats. So this is how much Bitcoin has gone up compared to the US dollar. It's actually ridiculous. Tonga, I believe if I pronounce that correctly, to copy El Salvador's bill making Bitcoin a legal tender, says former MP. In a ruling that is almost identical to El Salvador bill, Tongan bigwig anticipates that his country could adopt Bitcoin by November. So you have more companies, more institutions. You have, this meeting coming up the 20th. Based on all these metrics, I am still bullish. I don't think this bull runs over. Now, again, you never know with the equities market. We are definitely in some uncertain times. But I hope you found a lot of value in this video. Leave down below, are we in a bull market or a bear market? What are your current opinions on all this? If you have not done already so, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button. Smashing is very imperative, okay? So make sure you do that. And make sure to check out some of our other additional content if you want more financial education or clothing if you want to rep the Brotherhood. Check us out at brotherhoodfinance.com and check us out on other social medias. It really mean a lot. We're on Instagram and TikTok. We're going to be posting on TikTok more, so make sure to check that out. Again, I hope you found value in this. As always, leave comments down below. I always like to communicate with you guys. See if you guys learned a lot of this content. Much love. Peace, brothers.